Well, it was good to get the kids back. They had Saturday, Sunday off, and it was good to get going this week with preparations to play Northwestern and start our Big Ten season. I thought last week got a lot out of the bye, got what we wanted out of the bye week, and truly am. And I know the kids are excited to get going this week.
Jeff,
I can hear you.
speak loud.
No doubt. I think that's what's one of the great things about playing football is that everyone's got a role in each play, and yet you need everyone. And I'm sure there are plays where you make up for a mistake, but to give yourself the best chance, everyone has to do their part in it. And I think that's one of the neat things about the game. Well, I think that he has to do his part, and I think the same can be said for any position. If you try to do more than what you should be doing, that doesn't help. And I think what he's been doing, he's been seeing things the right way and making good decisions, and then trusting that. And I think that last part's really important for every player, that you know what to do, you know how to do it. Now you got to go trust yourself. And if that's the case, more often than not, you give yourself a chance to be successful. So I thought that he saw things clearly at BYU. He trusted, and I thought guys around him did their part.
Jesse.
Well, Jonathan's listed as a starter this week at running back. What has stood out most to him in the first few weeks, and how do you think he and Bradrick in particular complement each other when Bradrick's healthy?
I think Jonathan's continuing to grow and get better, and certainly I thought did a lot from the time he came to give himself a chance to be ready and to be able to participate and add to this team this fall. And I think that all of our backs can complement each other, and I'm anxious to see Bradrick do more this week. And I think that they're capable of being good players. They're capable of giving us good production, and I think that in some ways complement. They each have their own style, and I don't think you ever look to try to have one style to complement another style. I think can they give you valuable reps, and certainly Jonathan and Bradrick are really capable of that.
Is Shaw, I mean, he did it before in certain times last year. Is he an effective guy if it's third and short, anywhere on the field, but in particular as you get close to the goal line?
I think he is, good in those situations, but I like him, everywhere, really. I think that when Bradrick's at his best, like every other kid, he's kind of trusting his vision, trusting his assignment, or doing what you want him to do, what the play calls to do. And I thought that he gave us some moments more than just, kind of I think he's more than a situational back, I guess.
You guys mentioned the first couple weeks those teams threw a lot at you that you weren't expecting. You didn't have a whole lot of tape on those two. How does preparation change when you get into conference play and you're playing teams that you're really familiar with?
Well, I think that Northwestern in particular, and credit to Pat and what they've been doing. There's a lot of continuity in their staff, and so you've got an idea of what they're going to do offensively, defensively, and special teams. And like anyone, you can see them kind of change and evolve and adjust to their personnel. But I think that not just because you're in Big Ten, but when you do go up against someone, just like they know us, we feel like we've got an idea of what they want to do schematically, and with that, there are some challenges, but different challenges than if you don't know what to expect.
Jeff?
Paul Natrell was one of the guys, Jamerson, who came into the season in a new role this
Right.
year. What did you see from him in that BYU game that maybe leads you to believe that he's starting to get a little more comfortable in that spot?
Yeah, I think it's, the BYU game only because it was our last game, but I've liked his progression, and one of the tell signs of that he is the communication piece, and is he communicating, and you're hearing more of that from him, and then I think you can just see the guy that's familiar playing the position, looks comfortable, and that's something that's probably harder to tell from just someone that stands up there. But I think that he's gaining confidence and continuing to grow at it, and I think he's got a chance to be really good. I think it's a good spot for him too.
Paul, do you break a season up into phases like non-conference, conference, postseason, things like that? And if so, what's the biggest difference when you make that jump from the non-conference games to the conference games? Is it competition or something else?
Really don't, other than we just want our players and our focus and energy to be in the moment into that week. And certainly there is, I think, when the bye came after our 3 non-conference games, there's a natural, all right, now we're starting Big Ten play. But really, all that matters is that we're playing Northwestern. That's where you want everyone's energy, everyone's focus to go to. And guys know that the teams that we are playing in the Big Ten, they're good football teams, and yet all that matters is this week playing a good Northwestern team, and for us to know as much about them, but more importantly, to make sure that we are prepared and that we find ways to get better so that we can give ourselves the best chance. Don't get too caught up into trying to break down and play out the season. It's 1 week, 1 day at a time, and I think you can enjoy it more when you approach it that way.
On Northwestern's beaten Wisconsin 2 of the last 3 years at critical points in the season, and they played you guys tough last year as well. What is it about that team that makes them difficult to beat, even when they're maybe not, one of the best teams in the conference?
Well, I think that, they're a good football team because they've got good football players, and I think they're really well coached. And every time that I've had the opportunity to go up and play against them, knew that. And you see that on tape, and what is talked about and what is, we are just starting, last week, I guess we started the Big Ten play, but when you are so early in a season, even when you're in the middle of a season, and it's all the talk, none of it matters. It's we're playing a good team, and we know it, and our kids know it, and I think they've always been, I can't remember the last time we're playing anyone who say that this isn't a team that is a good team. I think that our kids see it, and I think Northwestern's had really good football teams, and I know they're really well coached, and I think they got good football players.
Paul, when you guys go to 3 corners with Derek and Nick and Dante, it's clear Dante's getting a lot of attention. They're challenging him. How do you think he's held up to this point, being the young guy and his first taste of experience?
I think he's continuing to grow and gain that experience that helps him. And in each time that you get to play, you've got to have those takeaways. What are things that he's done well, build on them, and negatives. And I think that, I'm sure there's some that, he'd like to have back, and I thought he's done a really good job, and we just got to continue to help him grow.
Paul, I know your team isn't out on the field for the national anthem, but have you felt the need to address anything that's been going on outside with your team at all?
I always feel the need to talk to our players about everything that you think might be on their minds. And, I've done that for a long time and want to continue to do that. And that's what I can learn, from talking to them and get a sense of where they're at, and whether it's, what was kind of a lot been talked about this weekend, whether it was 2 weekends ago and we got a number of kids that, or 3 weekends ago, a number of kids we thought were going to be, or their families were going to be affected by weather. And, then there's a number of other kids that have things going on at home that's not a national story, but it's real to them. So I think the more that we can talk to our kids and learn and help them go through all the things that they go through at this time in their life, and at this time, whether it's a national thing, whether it's a local, I think you try to talk to them and learn and hear, and I'm proud of the thoughts that our guys have, and like I said, it's a great, personally, and I know for the groups, when there's someone else with us, or it's good to hear another perspective. And so I think that's one of the things that I appreciate most about being at Wisconsin, particularly with this group of guys, is that there are thoughts and well thought out feelings and opinions, and they'll challenge each other or they'll talk it out. It's one of the parts of my job that's not, no one sees it, but that I really appreciate.
Paul, I don't know if you can answer this, but is it more challenging to coach against or prepare for someone you're familiar with and have worked with before? Because you know what they kind of want to do, but they also have their own mind, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know, and I think that, if it's talking about like me and Hank, and I loved working with Hank, got a ton of respect for him. That was also a long time ago. I think that we've both could say that we've grown and we've adjusted, and I think that one of the parts of Hank that I appreciated was, we'd have talk about how do you use this personnel group, and so as you can have as a coach, you can have your own wishes and desires, but you need to adjust with the group that you have. And so I think that you certainly have an idea, but you don't know. And I think that you would be making a mistake if you think, oh, I know this scheme, or I know this person, I know how they like to attack, because I know personally, I'm always trying to get better, and that involves change sometimes, and there's things that we're doing now that we didn't do, and so I think that you got to be careful in thinking you've got all the answers because know this person, you played against them, worked with them. I think that could be a mistake, I think.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, thank you.